All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Tell Me Everything. I'm your host, Danielle Spinelli. Super excited for today's episode. First one with an actual guest, not just me and Meg. So I got Dhruv from Drumkit repping his hat here. He is the CEO and co-founded it back in 2022. He is super passionate about logistics. Whenever we dive into the episode, he talks about even like as a kid, how he was looking at all the trucks and the trains and the airplanes and all that stuff and been fascinated with it. He actually went to Harvard. So super smarty pants dude went to Harvard for a degree in computer science and transportation planning. Kind of a funny combination, right? But here he is now in logistics building great software. So he co-founded a couple different things. So he co-founded a Y Combinator backed startup focused on micro mobility optimization. These are hard words that a non-Harvard person has to say. And then he also co-founded Megaphone, which is a nonprofit organization that helped people vote in Milwaukee and Atlanta back in the 2020 election. And he was the first BD hire at Zoba, which is an early stage startup that optimizes fleet optimization. Super nice guy. I keep calling him the nicest man in logistics. He really is. He's so nice. He's so caring. He really cares about his customers and even just like, I mean, he'll literally call me randomly and be like, "Hey, just checking in on you. What's going on? What's new? Tell me everything." Right? So he's always been one that, when I see him at a conference, I'm excited to meet him, find out what's going on, what's new with him. And he's just, like I said, so caring and so nice. So I'm excited to have him on here. I'm excited for you guys to get to know him and learn a little bit more about the why behind Drum Kit, what all is entail with how he came up with it. So that hopefully you guys can check out his product because not to do a plug here, but it is freaking cool. All right, let's jump into it. Welcome to the very first episode or very first guest episode of Tell Me Everything. I got Dhruv here from Drumkit. Yay! I think I have like
Woo!
little. Hold on. I don't know if you can hear that. Let's go. So I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're my guest. So
This
where do
is gonna
we
be a
first
blast.
meet? Can you remember?
Okay, so yes, we first met through just my career portal in general. Like it
Yeah.
was just like some outreach. We like talked to someone at some conference,
Yeah.
and they were like, "You got to talk to Danielle. She's the person to. She's like the man.
Oh
I guess
man,
not.
yeah.
Well, she's the
Yeah, yeah.
woman." Um, and then we just, I mean, we run into each other everywhere now. Like that's just how these freight conversations go, right?
Yeah, right. I know. Now we're best friends, so it's
Yeah,
perfect. Well,
it's
I think in
amazing.
the beginning too, you were like kind of coming on the map. So your company name was something else, and then changed it to the best name ever, Drum Kit. And I love your whole vibes that you do at conferences too. So we'll jump into where you came up with that idea. And so, yeah, I think what I first remember is we jumped on a call about integrating, and
Hmm.
you were like showing us how cool your platform is, and it was me and Meg, and we were like blown away. Like this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So, yeah, how did this even come about? Like, tell me everything.
Yeah, that's what it was. Meg was the one who was like Danielle's the man, the woman. And you gotta make sure that she's looped in. So, yeah, I how did we start? So I honestly like I was that like loser kid in on the school bus who thought trucks and trains were cool, and so that's my background. And so I went to college to study like computer science and transportation planning.
Oh, you did both of
And
those things. So you're like one of
yeah,
those guys because now at conferences they have a lot of those students there. So you were like one of those people.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I
that's
mean, we
cool.
didn't we didn't have like a great technically it was political science, but
Interesting.
I like did my entire focus on American politics, community politics, and like how that associates with transportation planning. A lot of the
Interesting.
research and a lot of the work was on like civic engagement and like why people oppose like NIMBYs and YIMBYs and like why people oppose highways or like
Hmm.
what are the cost benefits of doing certain types of infrastructure like that's a lot of what it was, so it was less like logistics and more like actual like transportation planning,
Interesting.
but that was like as close as I could get to doing any of that.
Yeah, because
And there
now
was
they didn't really have logistics degrees back then, right? Like, because I know that's like a newer
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
How long ago
definitely.
was it they went to school?
I was class of 2020, so
Okay.
we didn't have logistics degrees at my school, but I know like Michigan, for example, has like a really strong logistics program. MIT obviously has a big supply chain program. That's the
Right.
famous one. But these are all pretty new.
Yeah, it's a newer degree. It's funny because I have like a associate's degree, nothing crazy, and I got it from University of Phoenix back whenever the very first like online classes that they had, that
Hmm.
was me. And I mean, like, it's honestly a joke of a degree. Like, I just have debt or student debt, but I didn't really learn very much. But what's funny is, so really, I feel like I have no degree and I was in sales somewhere else. And then somebody was like, you got to get into being in logistics. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. And most people who are in logistics, like, were waiters or waitresses, or they were doing some weird sales gig and then they jump into logistics. So for me, it's super funny that they have like full on degrees now. It's like, I didn't realize and there is so much to learn. That's why we're doing Tell Me Everything. I want to learn more, but it's
Yeah.
funny that that's an actual degree.
I don't I think it's not like you don't need a degree. You need to be a
Yeah.
hustler, you need to be smart, you need to know what you're talking about and just like jump in, especially to be a broker or to be a dispatcher or something like
Yeah.
that. Like I think if you want to a lot of the people that I see that have supply chain degrees, they end up being like resource planners or something like that for shippers.
Interesting.
Maybe that
Yeah.
makes more sense. Maybe you need more technical knowledge or some of the math or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I wouldn't know, but like I kind of get that. But I think to be a good sales rep, a good carrier sales rep, like you just gotta hustle, man. You just gotta
Gotta
be,
hustle.
yeah, you just gotta
You gotta
be
hustle
willing to
and
put in the
then
work.
knowing how to talk to people, like knowing how to, like, because really carrier sales, I was in carrier sales. So, like, really that's about like having relationships and like knowing how to beg somebody from the bottom of your heart to pick up a load in the middle of the night. Please help me.
Mhm.
I have children that have diapers, like all the funny things that you would say to convince somebody.
Yeah, a
So,
degree doesn't help you with that.
no, that's like, yeah. Like my daughter, what's so funny is actually my daughter, so she's 16 now, but whenever I first started in logistics, that was like almost 10 years ago, but I think she was like 8 at the time. And so she actually would hop on the phone and sell a loan. I mean, hopefully my ex-employer doesn't know about this, but literally she would sell it because she's got such charisma that she could do it. So
Hmm.
anybody can do it. I feel like it's a talent, but it's a personality thing too.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like you build a lot of those skills, but you can come in with that innate like, hey, I can, it's just grit. It's just grit, willingness to
Yeah.
do it,
And it's also like faking it till you make it.
without a doubt. But that's true about
Yeah.
anything, to be fair.
Yeah. So what was your very first, like, what was your first job that you had then? Did you go straight from high school to college, or did you do something in between while you're in college, or what did you do there?
Okay, these are two very different things. So, my
Okay.
first job was when I was 8 years old. Someone paid me to do a magic show for my
What?
sister's friend's birthday party. I
Hold
had
on, a
three
magic
tricks.
show?
Yeah, oh yeah, I was the magician. So I had three tricks. I had a card trick where, and look, granted, like these are 4 year olds, right? So like I had a
Right, right,
card
right.
trick where you like bend the card slightly and then you shuffle the deck and you predict like or you like
Hmm.
find what the card was. I had a uh crayon trick where I would like make a small mark on my nail when the crayons were behind my back, and then I would know exactly like what color it was, and I'd like take a quick glance and like boom.
Oh my
And then I had
gosh.
a no, now I remember what it was. Okay, I totally forgot. I had a rabbit in a hat trick, but it was a puppet rabbit and it
Oh,
was
so
a
you had a real
giant
rabbit?
no, and it was a really heavy plastic hat with like a flap in it that made a huge sound when you stuck your hand in. And so
Funny.
like it was so obvious that kids would literally look in the hat and be like, "That's the rabbit." And I was like, "No, no, 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 it's not. I swear it's magic." But that
That's
was my
funny.
first job.
Wow. And you were
Yeah,
8. So you were like
I was
straight up
8.
hustling at 8 years old.
That's right. That's right. I walked away
Did you
with
have a
20 bucks
cape?
and a lot of I did have a
You did?
cape. I did
Oh
have a
my
cape.
God.
Yeah.
Please send me this you have a picture of this,
Oh,
obviously,
I
right?
hope so. I hope so.
Oh,
I will find it.
you gotta
I will,
send that to me.
I'm
We
going to
gotta
my
add that
parents
to the
today. I'll
end of
find it.
the podcast. Put your
Yeah.
picture on there as an 8-year-old. That's so
Oh my God.
awesome.
That's embarrassing. But yes,
No,
I
it's
will find
not.
it and
That's
I will let
great.
you know. Um, but my first job out of college was like, other than like I did some engineering internships and stuff, but it was just starting a business out of college. So what we were doing was like, like Lime scooters and stuff like
Mm,
that. last mile delivery. We were doing some optimization work. COVID really like destroyed that.
Mm,
So that was rough. But it was a great experience. We got to learn a
yeah,
lot, built with some
I
really
learned a
cool
lot.
people.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So basically, right after college, you're like, well, I'm just gonna be in tech forever and build things, and so you just jumped right in.
Yeah,
Because to me,
well,
this is like I have ideas. I'm like, okay, I think we should have a tech on this, or we should do that. But for me, it's such like a scary to like take the leap to talk to somebody to build something or learn how to build something is so wild to me. But you're just like, let's go.
yeah, the trick is to not care and just like do shit. Wait, can I say that?
Yeah, I don't care. Go for
Okay,
it.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
The trick is to just fucking go, like, and
Yeah.
just do shit, right? Like, I there's like a sob story version of this, which is like, my parents were immigrants. They didn't get to take the risks they wanted to or do the things they wanted to, and so like they want me to, and they live
Yeah.
vicariously through me. And then there's the flip side, which is just like I was like, fuck it, like I don't have anything to worry about. Let's just see what
Right.
happens.
That's cool.
And obviously both of those are valid. And I think like as entrepreneurship has gotten easier. I don't mean to like dismiss how difficult it is, but especially technology entrepreneurship has just gotten easier. There's more
Yeah.
resources, there's a lot more people doing it. It's in some ways it's like a balanced thing to do. There's venture capitalists that will give college students hundreds of thousands of dollars to just do random stuff.
Which is wild.
There's yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is. You're just lighting money on fire. Um, a lot of them. I know I was like I didn't
Yeah.
know what I was doing. But that's the thing, right? Like it's what you said earlier. Fake it till you make it. The goal is to find somewhere where you can build value, which is what brokers do too, right? Like find somewhere where you can generate value, sell, 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 and then make it happen. And
Yeah.
that's sort of our philosophy too.
So how did you how did drum kit become like a thing? Like where did you guys hear about it being an issue with somebody or did you guys jump in front lines or like how did you even know this was such a problem that I didn't even know was a problem until you showed me the solution and I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yeah, this has been a problem."
Yeah, so drumkit story is actually kind of convoluted. I'll skip to somewhere in between. Like we started with building integrations like telematics, TMS integrations,
Mhm.
and we would turn those into APIs and sell them to different software companies. We were talking to a few brokerages because we were like, hey, look, like we've got all these ELDs, you could build your own version of macro point in a box or something like that, right? That's super
Yeah.
obviously super potentially valuable, but we would walk into brokers and the first thing we would see is three screens. It's your TMS, email, and maybe rate view or something like that, my cure,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And it would just be armies of people typing something here and then typing the same thing over here. And I remember we walked into a conference room at NFI and we were like, hey, like what's going on? What are they doing? And they were like, yeah, well, that's how track and trace works. That's how scheduling works. Like you ask someone
Right.
a question, fill it out over here. We're like, there has to be a better way to do this. LLMs and AI were coming out at the same time, and all of that stuff was brand new and fresh. And so we said, we asked them, we were like, what if we could automate that particular step for you? Just all of that tracking, all of that appointment scheduling. What if we could just automate that for you? And they were like, great, please
Yeah.
do. And so
Please do.
that's where we started. Yeah. We had several, Alex and Nate from Wicker Park, like Dave, Ash, Al from NFI, folks that really bet on us early. They didn't have to. They had no reason to. Um, and that's your dog thinks of that too. Like they had no reason to do that. And but they did, and we grew into what we're doing now.
Sorry. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
What,
no,
what
that's
what's
super
what's
cool.
his
So
name?
basically you were already you were in the trenches, you saw things, and then you're like, we can totally build this. So I
Yeah.
know, like, as far as in your, and we don't need to talk about your software the whole time because I know you're more than that. But we were looking at like the compliance piece of it, and what I guess blew my mind from like the fraud girl status is you can easily detect like whoever's emailing you because pretty much like when 2020 happened, I remember it went from making phone calls nonstop to posting loads to your email because we all got sent home and
Yep.
I didn't even have a phone line to use and I was like I'm not posting my cell phone number. So I was just having everything come through my email and then you'd have to constantly copy and paste into MCP and see if they were vetted or whatever. So your guys' program, just like pre-vetting that and knowing that that user's with that carrier is huge. Like I said, I always just think about it in the fraud side, but I know the scheduling and the automation of stuff is key.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as far as like I mean, really, you're like very technical and, development wise and product wise and stuff like that. So, I know you're also like amazing at selling. So, is that something that kind of came naturally to you, or is it something you had to work at?
Oh man. Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. I don't particularly think I'm amazing at selling by any means, but I also don't think of it sort of that way. We sort of think about it as, can we find people that have a problem and help them solve it? And like,
Yeah.
if they don't have a problem, great, that's fine. Like, call it a
Yeah.
day. If they do, then we want to help. And that's how we approach everything. I think if we're not giving you something useful, if we're not giving you something valuable, just call it a day, walk away. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't believe that we will or that we can, then don't worry about it. I'm not trying to shove anything down anyone's throat. I think that sets us apart a little bit, that like our goals are to be useful, not to make a lot of money.
Right.
Again, don't tell my BCs that. Like, our my job isn't to juice you for all you're worth. My job is to make sure that you're getting something out of Drumkit. I think
Yeah.
having that approach makes it a little bit easier to buy.
Mhm.
It makes it's disarming in the brokerage world where everything is just sell, 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 and sort of often it's burn and churn, not
Yeah.
necessarily, especially for spot. That's not necessarily true for like contract folks or project folks. That's something that we try to be very mindful of, is like, how can we make sure that you're getting something out of that relationship? And I think we spend a lot of time on the front end having that conversation, as opposed to saying, here's what we do, like, I hope you find it useful. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, tell me about your day to day. What's missing? What's not missing? How can I help? Here's how we generate value. And do you think that's going to be helpful? And then we try, we proof of concept. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, great. Like, it's money back. That kind of
Yeah.
thing. Getting good at sales is like two different things, right? There's one is understanding your own ethos and your own style. There's
Yeah.
people that are awkward, nervous, that are really good sellers because they know
Totally.
their own style. I feel like I'm not to brag. I feel like I'm generally like okay at talking to people,
Mhm.
feel comfortable one on one or in group settings. I don't really have stage fright or anything like that.
Well, you are the nicest man in logistics, so
I
there's that too.
appreciate that. I appreciate. I got to tell my girlfriend that actually.
That's your title for sure.
Yeah, you gotta be worried, love. Like, but no, yeah. So I'm just joking, but I think that's really important. Is like figuring out your
Mhm.
style. And for me, I know that I'm conversational. That I like, I know that if given nothing to talk about, I'll find something to talk about and we'll just go. And
Yeah.
I know that I like absorb the other person's energy quite a bit. And so where I lack though is the process and the system. And like, okay, I have to answer these questions to make sure that you're a qualified potential customer. I have to make sure that I keep track of this information so that I show you the right demo, and then you see the right like scoping process, or like, here's the next step in this process, that kind of thing. And we have people on our team now that are much, much, much better than that. We have advisors that have been much, much better at like helping us set these up. There's this guy like Darren Lucia who's been extremely helpful to us, just like teaching us how best to do that and how best to accomplish those things.
Yeah.
And so it's just a combination of like understanding what our personalities lend ourselves to, and then finding the right process and the right system that I can adapt to and also gets the ball moving forward.
Yeah. I think you make a good point there too, because like for you're also in logistics, or really in a lot of sales cycles, you are selling to sellers, especially in
Hmm.
logistics. Like you're selling to brokers who are hunting shippers, and they're like that you're selling to sellers. You have to be like on a different level. You have to be really real. Like you cannot be like they can read through some BS, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like yeah, so like you have to know what you're talking about, and not only that, but also understand what their pain points are. And I think that's why your product has really developed so much, is you've learned so much about their pain points and then said, okay, actually I could probably develop this or modify this to be able to handle that. And then
Hmm.
that's why your products came so far just within the last, I guess, what, a year since we've originally, integrated,
Yeah.
maybe 2 years. But I mean, it's cool that you're doing it like that. I think that it makes a big difference as far as in your sales process. Like I said, you're not BSing a BSer because they can see that. So
Yeah. The worst possible thing you can do is like and we sell ahead of ourselves sometimes, and I think that's just the reality. Like,
Yeah.
you want to make sure people want it before you really build it out and spend a lot of time there. But I think the worst possible thing you can do is lie, or at least
Right.
lie intentionally. And I think, like,
Right.
try to identify value, be upfront about what you can and what you can't do, and go from there.
Well, in tech, it's hard too because you'll know, like, I could develop this. If you tell me there's enough of a need and you'll buy this from me, I will develop this. So, like, you're almost telling them, like, yeah, this is here, but it's not there, but it could be there by the time you sign up and you're in it, it's there. Like,
Hmm.
there is definitely like in tech, it's a totally different type of sale because you can evolve things so quickly depending on your developers and how big the project actually is. It's really cool doing it like that too because then you can really customize like your product to
Yep.
that. Like I know on my end, whenever I'm hearing like fraud stories or whatever, and I'm selling MCP, it's like they'll dig into, okay, this is exactly how I had a load stolen or whatever, whatever. And I'm like dissecting it and I'm like, oh my God, I bet if we had this, that would have prevented this. Then I'll like, talk to them about it and kind of go from there. So I think it's like you said, like basically having a conversation, being a real person makes such a big difference. And I think even like whenever we met at a conference or we met on, wherever we meet, whenever we meet new people, that's kind of why we have like our network that we do in logistics
Yep.
because people know we're like real people.
Yeah, that I mean that's one thing that's you and Meg do a really good job of, like, cultivating trust, right? And cultivating your, because your personal reputation really matters, right? Like, people know you
Yeah.
as the fraud girl. That's so important. That, like, okay, if I have problems, I can go to Danielle. I trust her opinion. I know what I know what she's gonna say, and she obviously, like, has a strong, deep understanding of what's going on here. I don't know how I'm known, but
The
we want to
nicest
make
man
sure
on
that,
logistics. That's how
yeah.
you're known.
But like, we want to make sure that we also keep that, like, reputation of, okay, if I go to anyone at Drumkit, whether it's me or whether it's my co-founder or anyone else on our team, they're gonna care, they're gonna want to learn more, and maybe they'll have an opinion or an experience where they can share and help us. That's not selling the product, that's just being useful in the community.
Right. So really like your product is kind of AI, but it's not, right? Like I mean it's both, I guess, because but it's reading things. I guess for me as in the fraud girl world is like I'm so nervous with this AI talking to AI. I'm like, this is like a whole nother level of fraud people are not even getting ready for. So I guess and I think like the AI in logistics, every conference we go to is such like a God, like I'm almost so sick of hearing that. I'm so sick of hearing the same fraud talks. I'm so sick of hearing about AI. So what's your take on that? And like what do you use AI in and what do you think where do you think it's going?
Yeah. Okay, so the honest answer is, like, a lot of it is just a buzzword. A lot
Uh,
of it is just to hide, like, traditional machine learning or traditional, integration. Like, so much of the value of what we do is we just integrate into a bunch of shit. And
yeah.
we use AI to do that behind the scenes, like, for our development, and that makes us faster at it. We use AI to do a lot of our reading. We use AI to do some of our recommendations and suggestions and things like that. But a lot of it is just, like, a lot of the real value people get is we just read a bunch of stuff, pull in the data from other places, and then map them together. One of the
Yeah.
most valuable things that we do is determine what your total addressable market is in your inbox, right? So how many quote requests did you get? How many did you respond to? Only one part of that is AI, which is the categorization and reading of the conversation. The rest of that is just, like, plugging into your TMS, plugging into
Yeah.
green screens or rate view or something like that. Those aren't, it's not AI. That's just, like, integrations. But I think what AI has done is given you these new vectors to build things. Like, Drumkit would not be possible if we didn't have a great, easy way to read these conversations and
Right.
turn them into something. Future iterations of Drumkit, where instead of that Copilot sidebar experience in your Outlook, it's just at Drumkit, help me quote my, quotes for today.
Mhm.
That is AI. Like, that starts to become, I'm understanding what was asked of me. I'm gonna go off and just do the work. I'm gonna make API calls to Drumkit if I need to, and just accomplish what I need to. That, what's called an agentic flow, that's the future of what this is going to look like.
Wow.
There's
That's so
companies that
cool.
are already doing it to some extent. I think we're starting to experiment with it and like grow into that. We like to joke that you're able to turn off the sidebar and it just sort of runs behind the scenes, and that's true already today for some of our functions, but not for all of them. I think that ends up being the future. Like at drumkit, check with MCP if this is fraud or not, or
Right.
at drumkit, like send follow-ups every couple of hours to get updates. I think the AI stuff is like, it's like scary, to be honest. I think it's scary for me. I think it's scary for our customers. We like joke about, we call this like the drums method, which is like, figure out what you actually need, try to figure out how to like assure people, measure results, look at the metrics, scale what works, all that kind of stuff. We joke about that kind of
That's
thing.
the DRUMS,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
exactly,
that.
exactly. Yeah. And like I like that because it's cutesy. I think it's easy to remember, but it gets at this really critical thing, which is everyone today is thinking about, like, first, what the hell is AI? What does that
Yeah.
even mean? Like, a lot of people, I think a quarter of people probably haven't ever used ChatGPT or Claude, or
Right.
don't even know like why they would use it or what they would get out of it. And then you end up in this situation where, okay, I don't know what it is. Everybody else seems to think it's useful. What do I do?
Right.
And that's a really scary place to be, especially when AI isn't really that, like, it's not that useful. There are
Hmm.
things that are really valuable, but it is just a buzzword. And it goes
Yeah.
back to what we were talking about earlier. The real value of any of the products that use AI outside of just the chatbots is that they connect to your systems, that they get data from other places and then use AI to enable different functions. I don't think you should ever be thinking about, like, I need AI for my business. Rather, you should be thinking about what are the problems and what's the best new tool to solve that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that tool will involve AI, sometimes it won't. But I've seen too many bullshit like SaaS companies that are like, my CRM is now AI. And it's like, no, no, it's not,
No,
bro.
it's not.
It's still just a CRM. You might have like a chat bot, but that doesn't make you an AI CRM. And that's
Right.
fine. That's fine.
You're not literally a chat GPT type thing. Yeah.
No,
So I
no.
think you bring up a good point. And we did this on my webinar too, whenever you're on there, but that your AI is not really, maybe eventually will replace people, but your biggest thing and my biggest thing is I don't want it to replace people's jobs. I want it to enhance it. You know,
Mhm.
I think we always are going to need people. I don't think AI is going to take over everything. I think you have to have that human element. I know, like, even on the fraud girl side of things, like, and that's one of the things I bring up quite a bit is like AI talking to AI. Well,
Mhm.
as like a carrier sales rep, if I have a call coming in and they're wanting to take a load, and let's say I have the load posted for $1,000 or something, and then the driver calls in and says, "Hey, I'll take it." I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here? Like, back up. That's too easy. It shouldn't be like that. They should be negotiating or at least wanting more information about the load, right? Maybe the rate's fine, but they need to know, does this have 16 drops or not, right? And
Mhm.
so I think with AI, what's scary and what, like, having just somebody saying, yes, $1,000, fine, great, cool, send it on. Maybe the carrier looks great, but there's that human element in things too. I think, DrumKit does a great job at enhancing someone's job with ciphering emails and saying, like,
Yep.
okay, this email is this category. How do you want to respond? And then, like you said, teaching it eventually with your like DrumKit AI on how to respond. But I think there's always going to be that person there behind the scenes. Or what is your take on that?
The honest answer is that shippers don't go to freight brokers because they want the cheapest rate or because they want to pay someone for their freight. They
Right.
they go to they go to brokers because like they can find carriers on their own. They can do that. They go to brokers because they want someone they can trust. They want a
Mhm.
person who will handle this for them. There's a reason why, there hasn't been that huge API bidding and spot boards and all of that stuff getting completely automated. There's a reason why most freight still gets booked on the phone or with an email. It's because I want to trust that, okay, I've worked with Danielle in the past. I know what she's going to do. I know the types of carriers she works with. She's great. She's like a really, she's nice to me when I talk to her. She's got great operations skills and
Yep.
she's got me out of this pickle. Like, I want that. I want that. Um, there's definitely software that can help assist, but have you ever bought a house without a realtor? Have you
Right.
ever, bought a car without a car salesperson? Like, you can do those things. You can buy cars online.
As
You
I
can
say, I did
buy
buy one
houses
from
online.
Carvana, but
Yeah. Right, 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 right. But what's the other thing that you do when you look for something online? You go
Yeah.
on to Yelp or you go to Google reviews
Reviews.
or whatever, and you're like, okay, what did other humans think about this?
Right,
Like,
right,
you
right.
can look at the objective specs and decide, okay, what's the right move here? But that's not the same thing. And so I think that personal touch, it's just in our DNA, it's in our biology. Like, we need to have that to feel safe, to feel secure. And so I don't think humans are going anywhere. I think maybe the number of people required to do 100
Yeah.
loads per day per head, that might go down. That's just the reality. We want people
Right.
to be more efficient and businesses to save money and succeed. But look, I
That's
saw
every
something really
business too.
interesting.
That's not just logistics. You know what I mean? Like that's all industry everywhere.
100%. And this type of growth, what it does is it begets more like opportunity. Then we're just going to find something else to do. Humans don't lay around lazily. Like, well,
Right.
most of the time.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe the newest generation. I'm just kidding. Well, I think
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
like the bringing like up generations. I think there's a lot of older generation in logistics still that's very stuck in their ways and doesn't make changes. Like I know even like getting somebody to get on an MCP that's still using packets and they're manually searching everything. I'm like, what are you doing? Like we're not even AI. It's like you're still technically manually doing things, but you're having assistance to make your workflow faster. So I do think there's always going to be that mixture of things, at least for a long time. And then also with logistics, there's so many one-off weird, like a truck breaks down. Like how is somebody going to handle that? How is an AI agent going to know exactly what to do with that? Or a load
yeah.
gets stolen. How do you know how to even handle that? Because each thing is case by case. And also it's a lot of it is experience. Like you have to have experience in the field to know how to deal with that. Like I know whenever I dealt with like my first like theft situation, I mean I didn't know what I had no idea what to do. I was calling my owner and like you gotta take over. I'll watch you, but I don't know. I'm
Yep.
gonna butcher this whole thing. And so I think even with her, like whenever she was teaching me on how to handle things, she would be like, every case is different. So there's
Mhm.
not a one way, one silver bullet to fix everything. So with AI, I think there's always going to be that human element in there too. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what's all coming because I just know what has happened. So I got in the tech space so my very first conference was last 2024 February,
Hmm.
Manifest. That was my first, so I'm like 1.5 years at conferences in the tech
Yeah.
space. I'm almost at 2 years, but that's it. So before that, I was a broker. And just from what I saw from just that little bit of time, just the AI enhancements and the new tech that's out there, like you guys are around. And I mean, I'm like, what? This is amazing. So it's exciting.
It's cool. How do you feel about like AI and authenticity? That's one of my concerns. I feel like I go on LinkedIn, I go on Twitter, TikTok. I don't go on TikTok, but Instagram or whatever. So much of it starts to feel fake or
Yeah.
contrived to me. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. Like even whenever I make posts on LinkedIn, I do use ChatGPT to clean it up because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, silly, like my posts are usually like me like being like I'm texting. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not professional at all. So I need something to clean me up. But like I know and I've done it. My ChatGPT kind of knows me well enough, like knows my tone, and I'll be like, you're dumb. Like this is no thing like I'd sound like and have to train it. But I don't think I could ever be like, you know, write a post about this and then get it 100% right. Typically, I'm always editing, or at least I'm typing it initially out and then I have it clean it
Mhm.
up. But yeah, I think you can easily spot whenever it is a AI thing or whenever it's a human. Because first of all, there's a ton of emojis, right? That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
which
What
I
is
use
up
a
with
lot of
that?
emojis, but why does it love emojis so
I
much?
don't get it. I don't get
Yeah,
it.
I know. Which I'm a sucker for emojis. I guess it's my generation. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I don't because I ask because you have always been very authentic, at least from where I've seen like online, in person.
Thank
That's
you.
my concern is that you
Yeah.
start to like whittle that away a little bit, and the value of the authenticity either I don't know if it goes up or goes down when we get used to like the chat GPT speak, so to speak, as
Right.
opposed to like I don't know. I see your posts on LinkedIn and they're just it's as if we're having a conversation. It's not like I know some of this stuff I post on LinkedIn seems like AI, to be honest.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that, but a lot of the marketing stuff does feel like that. Like you'll look at any company that's throwing marketing out there and you're like, God, this is like another infomercial, right? Like I don't And like we've been talking about, you're selling to salespeople. Like I think you have to be super authentic in order for somebody to like actually stop and be like, I need to actually read this, and not
Mhm.
like, oh, this is just another automated generated blah, right?
I was gonna say, I think that's the you just made a critical point. Like that's the key. That's the key, which is like authenticity will be a premium. Yeah, I
Right.
think like us being real and real people will be a premium. It's the same reason for why TikTok or Instagram or whatever blew up so much, because people can be authentic and then have that spread across the world or across the country,
Mhm.
versus like our only source of entertainment was, highly stylized Hollywood flicks or whatever, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Or whenever reality TV first came out, how that was
Yeah.
such a freaking hit, and then we found out it was fake, and everybody was like, "What? This is fake!" And I mean, I remember being like, "I'm never watching another reality TV ever." But then now I watch Reels and TikTok all day long, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I'd love this, but that's probably all fake too. That will come out later, right?"
Yeah, oh, definitely. Well, I mean, we know a lot of it is fake. Like,
Yeah,
and I mean, just think about the pictures that you post on Instagram. You're like not you specifically, but like people post on Instagram, like you're posing or you're staging. Like you might have been fighting the whole time, but like you
yeah.
you just posted a
Happy
picture.
family. They're like,
Yeah, happy family.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But I think that just sells. Like I think that's the reality. Like we're gonna put a premium on authenticity. I feel this way about fake meat, like plant-based meat
oh yeah,
and all of that. Like my hot take, here's my hot take. I think real beef, real chicken goes away in the next 15 years. And I think we're just going to be like dealing with the plant-based, the artificial,
the
whatever you
garbage.
want to call it.
Yeah,
I think they're going to get it right, and they're going to make it so much cheaper. It's already like the cost of it already went down from 10x to like 1.5x more expensive. I think it's going to go down, and then real meat will be the premium. Like will be
yeah,
the premium option. Like at McDonald's, you're going to get the fake shit, and then
right.
you're going to go to your like, fancy neighborhood restaurant, and they're going to have real steak, or they're going to have a real burger, and you're going to pay $50 for that as opposed to the $5 burger. That's my hot take.
So the plant burgers, are those like soy burger, or like what kind of plant is it? Because they have, but then the other thing is they have to have enough land to do all this stuff too. And they're already talking about how they don't have enough land to feed everybody,
I
you
think it
know?
was like, wasn't it like 70% of farmland is used for livestock food?
Oh, I don't know. My
Yeah.
grandpa's a farmer. He'd be mad at me if I didn't know this answer, but I don't know this answer.
My grandparents were also farmers.
In Virginia or
No,
over?
it's in India. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I want to say all of their food, or excuse me, everything they produced went to cows.
Yeah, which I guess that makes sense because they have, I mean, obviously they're eating, it's not just like one thing you're making. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty wild. But yeah, right now they're saying like there's not enough, land to do the food, which I'm like, I've driven through Kansas. There's plenty of land.
There's plenty of, yeah, there's a lot out there.
There's a lot of
Uh,
boring states to drive through for sure.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, we can't say that. We can't say that.
Okay, sorry, my bad. I grew up
We
in
love
Minnesota
Kansas.
and I grew up in Minnesota, so Iowa, of course, is like Iowa's like the corn everywhere. And I
Yep.
remember like there's not very much like attractions driving distance from Minnesota. Like we could go to like Wisconsin Dells or something. But a lot
Yep.
of times we went down to Iowa. And I remember like growing up, like, why are we going to Iowa? Like I'm just looking at farm fields, right? And you're like, what are we doing here? Now Iowa's actually pretty fun. Like Des Moines, Iowa is really fun and Iowa City and stuff. But yeah, as a kid, I'm like, what the heck are we like? Let's go to Disney World, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually lived on the other side of Iowa. I lived in Naperville for a while, like in Illinois.
Okay.
And we'd end up in Iowa every so often too, as a kid for the same reason. And I like didn't get it until recently when I
Yeah.
finally made it back, and I realized my parents just wanted some peace and quiet. Like that's it. They didn't
Yeah.
want anything
Right.
else.
No
They just
noise
wanted
from the
some
city.
calm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That's funny. So
That's
are
right.
you more of like so you live in like a city, you live in city. So do you like the country more than you like the city, or do you just kind of wherever you are?
Oh no, I'm a city boy,
Yeah.
100%.
That's
Absolutely.
a
I live in downtown DC. We're
oh,
moving
fun.
closer to downtown. Absolutely love it.
I
But
love downtown.
honestly, like my favorite time was the 2 years I spent in New York. I was in Manhattan. Absolutely loved it. And
I
I
love New
miss it.
York.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love New York. I'm hopefully taking my son that's what he wanted for his 10th birthday. He's turning 11 this year, so I missed out. But on his 10th birthday, he's like, that all I want to do is go to New York. I'm like, done. Let's go. I freaking love
Yeah.
New York. But DC is super fun. So whenever I think I was 21. Me and my best friend,
Mhm.
we did a road trip from Georgia. We did Georgia, DC, New York, Virginia Beach, back down to Georgia.
That's awesome.
Oh my God, it was so fun. And we were like super young. And this is before, okay, like I think we had like a TomTom, but this was before you could get like Yelp or like Pinterest or like know anywhere at all to go, right? We're just like driving around, like, I don't know where to eat,
Hmm.
whatever. We're like asking recommendations. But we ended up, whenever we were in DC, we ended up and we were, 21. So we were like there to party and have fun. But we
Yeah.
went to Georgetown. What a freaking blast. And you know how the
Hmm.
trains, they quit running at like whatever
Yep.
time. And so what time did they quit running? Midnight? Or
They
it's
just
early.
changed it. It used to be midnight, and as of like yesterday or something, it's 2 a.m. now.
Oh, thank God.
I
I
know.
was like, we're stranded. Like, I don't even know
Hmm.
how to get a taxi because I was
Hmm.
young and I had no idea. And normally you were like, there was no Ubers.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like they had that one really place with like the huge pizzas.
The
Do they
jumbo
still have
pizza.
that?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh
That's a
my God, that
DC
was so
staple.
fun. Yeah. So, but we would ate at like where we ate was like like where I would imagine like the president would go eat. It was like super expensive, like smallest place ever. And so like I went to DC not long ago, maybe I think it was like 2022 or something. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, the food actually is good here. And I was like, before, I'm like, that place is garbage with food.
Okay,
But
it's
it's a wrong
funny.
place.
My hot take is that DC food is like fine,
Okay.
but I'm comparing to New York
Yeah.
and to
You can't do
Boston,
that.
and like Boston has really good. You can find really good food in Boston. New York is New York. That's like
Yeah.
undebatable. Chicago's really good for
Oh, I
food.
love Chicago.
Atlanta, hot take, Atlanta has decent food. Um,
I've never been to Boston. That's like I need to go really bad. But yeah.
Boston's great. Boston's fun. It's like it's I think it was like it's not a great city between in like your mid 20s. I think it's kind of boring in your mid 20s unless you're like a student, in which case you're like in your student life. But
Yeah.
it's fantastic like as a like in college, and it's fantastic as you're like getting older. A
Yeah.
great place to hang out.
Oh, I gotta go. I know.
Yeah.
The one thing I love traveling. Like that's why I go to
Yeah.
I sign up for as many conferences as I can possibly go because I want to go to all the places. I try to make it a point where I stay like an extra day or two. My kids hate it because I'm never home, but I try to make it where I'm gone like an extra day or two to like actually see the city. Because obviously,
Yeah.
when you're in conference life, you're like only seeing the city at night, which is
Mhm.
also super fun. But like, I want to enjoy Phoenix or wherever we are.
Of course.
But yeah, it's so I Boston. I need a conference in Boston, so I can go to Boston. That's my
Yeah, there's like there's a couple coming up in DC.
yeah.
Not
I
much
know.
logistics in Boston.
I'm wanting to go to the TIA policy forum.
Hmm.
That's I think October or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
wanting to go there. I'm part of the TIA cargo or no fraud task force. What's it called
Oh, hell
TIA
yeah.
task force. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So I just did a webinar today with them about pilferage and cluster theft. So like BOL manipulation, and that's something we
Yeah.
talked about on that webinar too, where the
Yeah.
BOLs get changed, and so eventually, hopefully, AI can detect like small modifications on PDFs or something. I'm surprised it's not already a thing. And then Drumkit, I'm sure will be doing that and all the
Yeah,
things.
we're doing it soon. That's part of the plan. That's one of
Yeah.
the like beauty collection, that sort of auditing. That's what we're doing soon, along with a lot
Yeah.
of the accessorial type stuff.
That's cool. That's gonna make
Yeah.
a big difference because that is one thing. Like other than doing EBOLs, which that means you got to get a shipper involved and like get them
Yeah.
on board, and that's a nightmare to get them to do any type of tech. So I think that'd be great if you guys come up with something like that.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the plan. That's
Yeah,
look, like keep the ideas coming,
I
man.
know. I
Keep the
got them.
ideas flowing. We'll get them going. This is the thing. Like great ideas come from anywhere, man. You just need to be think about it. You need to be thinking about it, articulating what you need, and I don't know, someone will come around and solve it.
Yeah. But whenever you're jumping into brokerages and like learning everything, have you ever hopped on the floor and like sold a load, or did you ever get to hop on a call?
I have not hopped on a call.
You gotta do
I
it.
have seen a lot of people sell. And
Gotta do
like
it.
you'll like it'll be like literally like I'll be like, hey, like walk me through this, and I'll be like, hold on, and take the call, and then all right, sorry about that, and then jump back in. I've never I've always been too like nervous to like hop on the call with them.
Oh my God, you gotta do it. It's so fun. I mean, like
Yeah,
as you're like, especially if you're like two phones slinging back and forth, it's fun. You gotta do it at least once. Like that's like every time I go to a customer visit or something, I'm
yeah.
like, can I sell a load? They're like, I mean, I guess if you want to. I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
want to. And
Oh,
just
hell yeah.
sharpening up my knives and you gotta do it.
Oh, 100%. Okay. I'm making a plan. I'm going to where am I going this? Maybe Chattanooga. That's a perfect place to sell some loads.
Chattanooga is broker central.
Yeah, that's a
Hop in
perfect
there.
place.
You better send me like a video of you doing
Yeah.
it. I gotta see how great you are. You're gonna
Yep.
be natural at it.
I appreciate that. I
Don't
appreciate
get
that.
screamed at by a carrier. It'll be fun.
That's the goal. That's the goal. That's the dream. No, I mean it's fun. Like you do these site visits. I did one last week. First of all, United Airlines is the worst. I just wanted to get that on record. But
They're the worst.
the
Yeah.
yeah, they're just
Yeah.
awful.
I hate them.
Yeah,
I'm
but
a Delta snob, so
Delta wasn't much better. They canceled my flight from
what?
Chattanooga to Atlanta. It was awful.
Oh, well that you should have just drove there.
That's what I did. That's what I ended
That's
up
only a
doing.
2 hour drive.
Yeah, but it was, I was like falling asleep while driving, and I was like, I'm gonna
No,
miss
that's
my
not
flight,
good.
can't get coffee. So I called my I called my mom, and I was like, I just need to talk. I just need to talk at you. You don't even need to listen. I just need someone to talk at.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And no, what I was saying was, so I did a site visit last week, and their top rep, he was like, he does like something crazy. He does like 1,000 loads a month. The next highest person does 600 a month, and that kind of goes down from there. And he credits his success to Drumkit. That that's
That's
like why
cool.
we do it, you know?
That's freaking cool.
That
Yeah.
was so we were so over the moon ecstatic to hear that. That's why we do it.
Did you
It's
get a
to
testimonial? Did you film him saying that? You
the
should.
way. Yeah, we will. We
What?
will next time I'm
That's
out there.
marketing
Next time I'm out there.
101.
He didn't want to be on camera, but we
Put a fake face on him, make his voice distorted.
I think that sends the wrong message, bro.
It totally does, but how freaking funny. I would watch that though. It would be very
That
entertaining.
would be so funny. That would be so funny. It's just
Uh,
anonymous endorsing a random
or like
random.
putting one of those AI filters on there where it's like a cat or something. You're like,
No,
what?
that's worse.
I know, but I would watch it. That's authentic. I would stop and watch it on LinkedIn.
I don't know if it's authentic. I don't know if that's the word I would use for that.
It's not the word. You're right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. That's the opposite.
Yeah. But it was a great I mean it's like gratifying. That's like why we do it.
Yeah.
It's like it's not, I want him to succeed. He just got married. Like I want his family to succeed. Like that's why we do it. And it was a
Yeah.
really nice feeling to offer that to him.
Because you're the nicest man in logistics. And you a
Yeah.
shirt that says that. That's happening. You're wearing that at the next conference I see you
Oh
at.
my God, please don't. Please don't do
What?
that.
I had to wear a
I,
Frog Girl shirt, which I
yeah, but
love,
it
but
was amazing. It was
it was
amazing. I no,
amazing.
I don't like I don't like being that flashy at shows. I
Oh,
feel like
come on.
yeah.
You're
Mi-
fun.
Yeah, well,
Well, you know. Oh my gosh. No, you're so fun. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on with me and thank you so much for being my very first guest. Love you so much.
Woo!
You're the best. Well,
Really good to see you.
where can everybody find you? Say all the things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're on LinkedIn. My name is hard to spell, so just look for Drumkit and I'll be there. And then on Twitter, it's I am Dhruv4. What else? What else do I got? If you ever want to reach me, it's just my first name, DHREV at drumkit.ai. Ship me a message.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Check us out the next Tell Me Everything. Watch us on every Friday for Frog Girl Fridays. Find the best tips. And that's it. Thanks, everybody.